Hi, I'm Kim Innocente, and I'm a licensed real estate agent in Northern Los Angeles County.
And I'm Amy Bullock, and I'm a licensed real estate agent out of Central Oregon.
And this is our podcast, Laughing Our Way Through Escrow.
Because sometimes in real estate, you just gotta laugh at the shit that happens.
You do have to laugh. Yeah. How are you?
I am awesome. How are you?
I am good. I've just been cleaning my house today, and then doing this. So,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
kind of a loungy day.
Oh, God, I
Yeah.
love this place. I am sitting
Yeah.
at my office right now. And I feel like I have just the list of to-dos that I just cannot catch up on.
Yes.
One of them is the buyer's guide, working on a buyer's guide. One of them is a locals guide, working on all these things. I just can't find the time to actually sit and do
Mhm.
it, but
Yeah.
I will get to it
It's okay. The good
for
thing about
sure.
them, I feel like, is they're not super urgent, but once you have them, like you have them, you know what I mean? And you can just use them
Mhm.
for everything. But yeah, they're time consuming.
They are. They are. They
Yeah.
really are. It's okay.
So what have you been up to the last 2 weeks?
Oof, a lot. So we signed listing docs yesterday for a new listing, hopefully coming to market this week, and it's just a land listing. Um, but it's like 2 acres, recreational residential land listing.
Ooh.
And I am super excited about it because I also represented them when they bought the property. And so it was kind of like a full circle moment. She came back to me last week and was like, "Hey, are you still doing real estate?" "Yeah, I totally am. You guys thinking about selling your house, your lot?" And she's like, "Yeah. Since you sold it to us, we wanted to see if you'd be willing to sell it for us." And I was like,
Awesome.
"Yes.
Yeah.
Why would I say no to that? I'll
Oh,
take it
not at all.
all." So yeah, that was exciting. I'm also dealing with a listing that is just not moving.
Yeah.
So, and that happens. I understand that happens, but that doesn't mean it's not frustrating.
Yeah.
Where I just ordered, we're gonna do some twilight photos for it. We're gonna kind of revamp the public remarks on it, do a little bit of tweaking on the listing to just refresh it,
Hmm.
but just for whatever reason, I can't get this one to move. And
How long
it's
has it been up for?
221 days.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
What's
But
the feedback?
it's in a neighborhood that days on market is anywhere between 175 and 300 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a very secluded neighborhood out kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you really
Okay.
got to be looking for it in order to find it. But my clients are getting frustrated, and for good reason. I would be frustrated too.
Yeah.
Um, but we just can't get any traction on it. And so we're gonna refresh the listing this week, get
Hmm.
some updated photos, some fresh photos on it,
Yeah.
revamp the public remarks, and try and get some new eyes on it.
Yeah. Well, at least you're still in the days on market. Because when you said that, I kind of freaked out because here we're like 30, but that makes sense then. So at least it's not like it's just their house that sits. Like they all
No,
take a
yeah,
while.
all of the houses that are in this neighborhood sit, which
Yeah.
is, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We're also dealing with that wildlife. We have a new wildfire hazard map that went out, and the property went into the wildfire hazard map now, and I think that's going to cause some issues with insurance,
Hmm.
which sucks. But, we're going to take it as it comes.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're just trying to refresh the listing, get some
Yeah.
new perspectives on it.
Do what's
But
in your control.
yeah, so that's what I've been up to. What have you
Yeah.
been up
So I have my condo listing that's up. We've had open houses the last 2 weekends. Um, and yeah, no offers yet. Feedback has been really great though, but we're like 30, 40 days on market here and it's only been 2 weeks. So I'm not super worried yet. But all the feedback is good. So I'm thinking we'll sell soon, but just
That's
doing
a
open
really
houses.
short days on market. 30 days is
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah. There it's, but I'm not in like a rural, I hate that word, rural area. So, it's a little different here, but yeah.
Yeah.
What about like personal life things? Have you done anything
Oh,
fun? I know you
well,
live in Portland.
this week is spring break for us. So my kids are home all day. And they're loving life because my husband and I are working, so they just sit around and play on their devices until we're done or off of work or home from work.
Mhm.
Um, what else is going on? Oh, I went to the Portland Thorns, the soccer team in Portland, went to a Thorns game Friday night,
Mhm.
and that was super awesome. Went with two of my best friends from college who I had a moment a few weeks ago where I was like, oh my God, I've known you guys for 20 years,
Mhm.
which is insane to me to think about. Um, and so yeah, it was the three of us and we just had a dandy old time.
That's fun. Did
Great
you
old
eat,
time.
eat at
Huh?
any? I love Portland. Did you eat at any like really good restaurants or anything?
We went to this place called Sushi Roll where they make like those sushi burritos.
Ooh.
They're huge and we ordered way too much food. Um, and we ate before we left, and then by the time we got back, the food was all, had gone bad because we didn't have a refrigerator in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And it just smelled like sushi in our room. It smelled terrible.
Great.
Bad decision after we made it. Um,
Have you
but
ever been
yeah,
to Pock Pock in Portland?
hot pot?
Pock Pock. It's not around anymore, but when you were in college, I'm sure
No.
it was there. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad it closed. It was like, I think it was like a Thai restaurant, but it was like, I don't know,
I love Thai food.
fusiony or I don't know, something special. But they're the best chicken wings I've ever eaten in my life. It was so delicious. They closed, but that was one
Oh,
of my favorite.
what is it called again?
It was called Pock Pock, Pok.
Okay. I'm gonna hit up my friends from that grew up in Portland and see if they
You
remember
should
this
ask
place.
them. Oh my gosh, it was
See what they
so,
say.
so
I
delicious.
will say I had some of the best times of my life when I was going to school in Portland.
Yeah, I lived in Gresham for like 4 months the first time I
Did
moved
you
out.
really?
Yeah, I did.
What?
Yeah, my this girl I knew from my childhood, I wanted to move out, but it's so expensive here. And she was like, "Well, I'm moving to Portland." And I'm like, "Where's that?" And she was like, "It like our rent was like $600. Like here, it's like it'd be $1,000 bucks." And I was like, "We can split that." And like minimum wage, because I just worked at the grocery store, was like the same. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll go with you." And so we went, and then it's just hard to make friends and stuff. I
Oh
worked at
man.
Albertsons and a aloe vera skincare company at the time. We worked two jobs. But it was cool. I loved it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we lived on the side of Mount Tabor and my roommate, her name was Jackie. We just always got in trouble. And not like do it well. I mean, depends on trouble to who's like. We went to a private school, but we were very much living the
Oh,
public school life, if that makes sense.
okay.
So there was supposed to be like no drinking, and of course we were going out on the weekends.
Mm.
I mean, it's what every college student does. I was like
Yeah.
22 when I moved up there. Heck, yes, I'm gonna go have a fun time in
Wow.
Portland.
So what years were you there?
I was there from August of oh 07. I want to say
Really?
oh 07 to March of like 2010 or 2011. I can't remember. One of those.
Oh,
It was
wow. Okay. So
like 3
I
years.
moved up there in July of 2008,
Shut up.
and I was
You
there
there
until
at the
like,
same
I
time?
think November. Yeah. Yeah, I was in Gresham. My address was it was on like 16th way. What's the oh gosh, I have to think of the exit. It's right before you go like on the way to Multnomah Falls. Like whatever there's
Oh, I think that's I-84.
242nd Street was
Oh,
the exit. Yeah. That's
mm-hmm.
funny. Yeah, I lived and it was like right around the corner. There's like a Safeway over there. I lived in the apartments right behind it.
Oh my
Funny.
God. I was down on Southeast Division,
Oh, you're
like
cool.
82nd and Southeast Division, which I think right now is not the safest place to walk around
Yeah.
anymore.
Bummer.
But yeah, we would, there was a night where Jackie and I were heading back from another school's apartments,
Uh-huh.
and we were in our own separate cars and speed racing down the road to get back to our apartment.
Hmm.
And we get pulled over, and this cop pulls Jackie over first, and I'm like, oh, sweet, she got it, I'm leaving. And so I keep going, and he pulls out from behind Jackie and comes to get me and pulls me over and lets Jackie go without even talking to her, and comes up to my car and was like, you know why I pulled you over? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're racing. And he's like reprimanding me
A
because
street
I'm
race.
a young college student who was just street racing in a
That's funny.
Cherokee. And he goes, so your license plate says Texas? And I go, yeah. And he goes, are you a Houston Texans fan or are you a Dallas Cowboys fan? And I sat there and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna make or break me. Oh, what do I say? Because I don't watch the NFL at all. And I was like, Cowboys fan. I love the Cowboys. Go Cowboys.
Yeah,
He was
just whatever will get me out of here.
Yeah, he was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll let you go then. Don't do this again. And I was like, oh my God, thank God.
My God,
Oh.
that's
But
funny.
then I got out of a speeding ticket over there off the 82nd and
Yeah,
Division because
no.
of the Cowboys.
Yeah, I loved living there. It was definitely different. Definitely
Yeah,
different.
it's not the same either.
Mhm.
Portland now versus Portland back then are so different. I miss
Yeah,
old Portland.
there's like a whole, I think they built like a Subaru, is it a Subaru manufacturing center or something
Yes.
by where I used to live? And it's been a long time since I've been there, but when we were there years ago, I drove by and I was like, what is this giant building? This was a field. It was just a
Yeah,
whatever.
I know. I think I drive by that every time I go into Portland from where I live. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's like a giant Subaru manufacturer building on the corner of these two streets, and it's huge. It's
Yeah.
gigantic. I have,
242nd and Hogan. That was my
there you
exit.
go. There you
I'll
go.
text you my address, my old address, and we'll see if
Okay.
you go
I'll
by
see if I
there.
drive by. This way I drive
Yeah.
by all the time. Mm.
Um, all right.
So
Well,
what's going on with you and real estate? I think we were talking about this. Sorry.
well, I told you, so I made QR codes for everything because you're
Yeah.
QR code sick. I actually am now QR code obsessed as well. So for my buyer's guide, I and my local guide and stuff, I made QR codes with like the sign up link and I put them on cookies for my open house.
Oh
And so
my
I signed
God.
up to get the guide. So I was like, okay, this is super fun because they're like, what is this? So I thought that was cool. I wanted to let you know about that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I'm obsessed with QR codes.
Yeah. And then I
If
did
anybody is
plant
listening to
some
this, I'm obsessed with
vegetables.
them. Do what?
I did plant some vegetables in my garden uh,
Oh,
last week.
it's too cold over here for me to do anything with my garden. I'm a
It's
little jealous of your,
the
what
temperature.
did what your dirtbag gardener update for everybody that can hear this? Kim calls herself the dirtbag gardener.
Well, not officially, just that one time. Because they just left, because it gets so windy here, as I'm sure you've
Yeah.
learned from all the fire stuff.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know when it was, November, like I had these like green bean stalks kind of growing, and the wind snapped them in half. And I was like so upset about it that I was like, I am done. Because I think I could grow year long here. I was gonna put like a tarp over it and kind of make a like a greenhouse because I
Oh,
have a
mm-hmm.
PVC situation that I made my husband build. But I just gave up, and so I didn't pull out anything. It's been real ugly in that corner of my yard. But
It's
then I
coming.
went back there and like everything, not everything, but a lot of stuff is still alive. Like my habanero plant is like growing new leaves randomly. And then my oregano is like big. The arugula, I think you saw was big. I
Yep.
cut
I
it
remember
down
that.
and I wanted to see if it would grow again. I kind of cut it back a lot. I think my parsley's coming back. I was like, oh, Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't even do anything. And it doesn't rain a lot. Like it didn't rain for months. So there's a drip system back there, but it doesn't, I don't think it really does much.
Do you turn it on?
It runs when the sprinklers run.
Oh,
So it runs every day, but it's like I just,
I
it's
mean,
not
it's
like the
feeding them
bed is wet.
enough that they're coming back. It's feeding
Yeah.
them
Well,
enough
the,
to like
the
bring them back.
habanero plant is literally, like the grow bags you can buy. It's
Yeah.
in a grow bag, so that doesn't get the drip system at all, and it has new leaves.
I
So I
mean, I was jealous of your garden when you showed it to me. My garden right now is just dirt.
really,
Dirt. Because so here in Central Oregon, we have a lot of microclimates,
mhm.
right? Like I am 20 minutes away from this town called Sisters, and they are way colder than we are typically when it comes to winter, and they'll get more snow, and we're just 20 minutes apart. Um, but if you are to garden in Central Oregon, there is a butte called Black Butte that everybody says like don't plant your crops outside until there's no snow on Black Butte. And that's like the gauge of how you figure out when you can plant plants outside. Because if you plant them before the snow goes away on Black Butte, we're more than likely going to have another freeze.
Uh,
But the catch is that we will have snow on Black Butte until like mid-June,
oh my gosh.
sometimes late June.
Yeah.
And it changes every year. And we just go, well, I go with the Black Butte method because so far it's been tried and true. If I plant them before there's snows up, I always end up having to cover them
Yeah.
frequently and keeping my eye on the weather every night because we'll drop down into the 20s on a random day after being 70 for the day. But
Yeah.
yeah, we have to gauge it on Black Butte. And if there's snow on Black Butte, everybody says don't plant your crops or else they'll just freeze and die.
Oh, I
I
wish we had
know.
something like that. Although I don't know that it matters, I guess here. Ours is like the heat. Like last year when I planted my zucchini, I got a late start on it because of the squirrels. And so there came a point last year when it got so hot that like everything suffered. Like I think that I
Oh,
could have grown zucchini well, but I think just because it was so late and it got so hot, like it
yeah.
just
Scorched it all.
yeah, it was like 116 one day. Like nothing is
Oh my
living.
God. I don't
Yeah.
miss that.
So,
I
um,
don't miss that.
no.
I went back in October to Texas and oh my God, it got up to like 94 one day. And I was like, guys, I don't know that I can handle this heat anymore.
Uh-uh.
I'm not
I
meant for
don't.
this heat anymore.
It's like in the 80s the last 2 days, and I'm like, I don't think I can handle it right now. It takes a minute to like adapt.
Yeah. Oh God. Mm-mm.
But
Over it.
well, do
Uh,
you want to get into our two topics of the day, I guess? Because we
yes,
decided on a
let's do
format to
it.
try to be more official, I guess. Okay, so today we're going to talk about um well, just funny stories from our past. I'm going to talk about a job that I had, and then we'll see if Amie can remember a story. And then we're
Yeah.
going to talk about buyer's consults and why they're super important, even if you might be 6, 12 months, whatever, out for buying a house. Yeah, does that sound
Let's do it.
okay? So
Yes.
I'll go first so you can think.
I know
So
what you're
I've
saying.
had many jobs in my past. One of them that I think is funny, I was in high school a ride operator at Magic Mountain, Six Flags. We have a theme park right here in my town. And we would drive, me and my friends, we would drive from Palmdale where we lived at the time. So it was 45 minutes. I didn't have a license. 45 minutes, we'd all just pack in the car and go drive to this job we had. Well, I worked on like a roller coaster. Have you been on like spin out or like something like it where it's basically the ride spins around a lot and you stick to the wall and the floor?
Oh, I've never done one of those I've done the ones where you're sitting in a chair and it's like three things and you're like, there's like
Okay.
multiple things going.
So spin out, which as a side note, in elementary school, I wrote it and I threw up. They had someone call in sick that day. So they sent me over there. The way that it works is it's like a like a tube or cylinder kind of a thing. And there's a door on it, and you walk in, everyone stands against the wall, and it spins so fast that the, I don't know, G-force or whatever you want to call it, you stick to the wall and the floor drops. So you're kind of just like floating, like people move all
Oh,
sorts of weird ways. Like I've seen one kid, which you're not supposed to do, but like go upside down on it. Like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. So the way you have to kind of, when it stops, so you have to drive it like a car because you have to line up the doors so people can get out, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So there's like these two white lines. I don't know how to drive a car, and they're like, you need to, there's like a gas and a brake, and you have to line these up so that the people can get out. I think it took me 10 minutes to get these people off the ride. They were yelling at me because I kept saying, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go around one more time. And then like people barf when they get off of this ride. And I'm like 16 years old, and they just go around, and I just miss it. Just be like a hair, and it won't open. And so I'm like, I'm so sorry. And they never let me work there again. On the ride. They never called me back for
How
that.
to get
They left.
intentionally removed from a job. I'm just gonna be bad at this.
Yeah, I was like, I can't, like, I tried so hard, but it was literally like driving a car, and like I would just kind of like overdo the gas because I didn't know, and then I tried to stop it. It was so bad. It was so bad. People, they were so mad at me. I'm lucky no one threw up.
Oh God. Can you
And
imagine
I
if somebody
and I
had thrown
couldn't,
up?
I get motion sickness, so like even like while the ride was going, I couldn't look at it because it was making me feel sick.
Oh
It was
God.
yeah, so then I don't know if that's why too I had trouble like parking it, but I could not.
You were still doing circles yourself as you were trying to
Yeah,
park
I
it.
couldn't park
Ugh.
it. I couldn't park it. Ladies and
Oh
gentlemen, we
God.
have to go around one more time.
I would
Um,
have had a lot of fun with the announcer part of that. I don't, I mean, I have a lot of like random
oh my God.
things that happen to me that I can't make up. Um, but for some reason they're all just fleeting right now. Maybe because I
I
got put on the spot.
I can tell you another story real quick.
Okay,
That's fun
tell me
that I
another
sent out in
story.
my email. I don't know if you read it because I put you on my list. So I worked at Albertsons out of high school, and I was a grocery clerk, and then they promoted me to the bakery. I was really bad at cake decorating. It's very messy, so they put me on the closing shift. So I just like stock the shelves. People come get their cake orders, whatever. Well, this woman came by to pick up her cake, and the cake decorator like misspelled her name or something. I can't exactly remember. The lady was off the bat like really rude. So I said, no problem. Like, do your shopping. Go pay for the cake. Because as a side note, we had people stealing a lot of stuff in the store. And so they would pick up their orders and just walk out and not pay for them.
Oh,
So I was like, go pick up, go pay, and you can have the cashier call me and I'll just bring it to you so you don't have to walk back. She's very mad. She leaves. I'm like fixing her cake. Kind of takes me a while because I'm not very good at it. She comes back. So the bakery's kind of set far back, and there's like I remember there's a Starbucks. Basically, like halfway across the store, she's yelling at me, saying, "You dumb B." I don't know if we're cussing on this podcast, but cussing at me,
I did.
waving her receipt. I have my mother receipt, and I'm like, "Oh my God." So she like, I'm like, okay, like I'm just trying, I'm like 18 years old. This lady's like 40 something, and she's bigger than me, like everything. So it's like so overwhelming. And I just remember like she gave me the receipt. I gave her the cake. She kept cussing at me. And I, without thinking, I crumpled up the receipt and threw it at her. And I said, have a good day. And she looked at me, and she was like, I don't even remember what she said. I just remember she put the cake down, and like the bakery, there's only one entrance and one exit. So like she was blocking it. And she just started following me into the bakery. No one else is in the department because it's just me. And luckily, she made enough commotion that the security guard like grabbed
Stop.
her and like took her out of the store. But that was like one of those moments where like I was like so young, and I didn't know how to just be like, don't talk to me like that.
You were
That I
just
just like
matching her
without thinking.
energy. You were
Just
just matching the energy that she was coming at you with.
she was
Like,
so mean to me, and I don't know what I did to her. I did, and I was like, my boss was like, "You cannot." I'm like, it literally, it just happened. She just kept saying the meanest things to me, and I'm like, I don't know you. Yeah, I did. I threw
well,
it.
I've had a few like I worked at Starbucks for a while and I definitely had my fair share back when when you had to order a drink and they had to write it down on the
Oh,
cup
yeah.
before the stickers. So we were handwriting the cups and there was one lady that came in and she would come in. She wasn't a regular, so she didn't come in every day, but she would come in a couple times a week, a couple times enough for us to know that she was very particular about her drink.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was more so like the Splenda needs to be put on the bottom before you pour any coffee into it. And the milk needs to be at this exact temperature. And you need to pour it without foam at this point and then
People
add
are
foam.
crazy with their coffee.
Oh, it's wild. The insane ability of people to be very particular about their coffee being made can like just blow your mind. At
Yeah.
that and so anyways at one point her drink took a stupid amount of time for us to make, and not only did it take a stupid amount of time for us to make, she would come in at the stupidest times for us to make it, which would be peak morning time, like you're gonna come in and ask for a drink that's gonna take us a solid minute and a half to make,
Mhm.
and it's gonna push the line back, and then you're gonna yell at me. Oh, she yelled at me numerous times because either didn't pour the shots in correctly, or I didn't pour the milk in correctly, or I put the sugar in at the wrong time, or like she would stand there, like if this was the bar, she would stand there right here as close as she could without being behind the counter and watch us make her drink and then have us redo it if it wasn't correct, or
Yeah.
would just dictate as we're going through how to do her drink. And it was, I mean, I hope she was happy with her beverage, but it was the most frustrating and annoying thing. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure at one point or two, I probably gave her decaf.
Yeah, she doesn't sound like she needs caffeine.
No, no.
That's funny. What a crazy. I just get iced coffee with half and half for my Starbucks order. Like I don't have any fancy.
Oh
My
yeah, I'm
sister
pretty
is a
basic.
little, she's not like a jerk like this lady, but like she knows like some of the stuff. I just get iced coffee. Like
Yeah,
all brew.
I'm pretty basic with my coffees. I'm a big fan
Hmm.
of Americanos. I love Americanos.
Hmm.
But when it comes to like ridiculously fancy schmancy drinks, I'm just like, no, not for me. That's for the
Yeah.
birds. That's
Oh
for the
my
birds.
gosh.
So
Oh my
there's
gosh.
a story for you.
Yeah. I always thought because we had a Starbucks in that Albertsons that I worked at, and I always thought like that job, because that was around the same time, like they just wrote everything on the cup or whatever. It just seemed like so hard because people had these like coffee orders that it felt like they made up on their own. And I'm like, how do you know? It just seemed it just seemed really hard to figure
I
out.
know that you like it like this.
Yeah, like
Yeah, this.
upside down Americano with five pumps. Like it just, I don't know. It just seemed like a
Oh yeah,
lot to me.
it
I
is
was
a
like,
lot. It can be a lot. People can get crazy with their drinks. Good
yeah,
on them. Good on them.
yeah,
Not me. Very
no,
basic and very simple. I want the drink that's going to get me in and out the
yeah.
fastest.
I did have over, was it last week? I've been trying to work from like coffee shops just because it's, if anybody doesn't know, my main working situation is I work from home just because it's easier for my life right now with a 4-year-old. But I've been trying to work from coffee shops on the days that she goes to preschool. And I went to one, was it Friday? I had have you ever had horchata?
Oh,
Not
horchata.
very
Yes.
white woman saying this, but they had a iced horchata latte. Oh my gosh, it was delicious.
Was it?
It was so, so, so good.
Horchata, for those that don't know, it's like a milk, cinnamony,
Yeah,
milky, is there vanilla? I can't remember if they put people probably put vanilla in
something
it.
like that.
Drink. And
Oh,
it's a, you find it a lot of Mexican restaurants and I don't know, I grew up on it. I drank it a lot growing up, but
yeah,
I also grew up in the San Antonio area where it was
yeah, love it.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Uh, but it's a really good,
so
tasty
good.
beverage.
I need to go back there maybe tomorrow.
God, you should. There was a place in Austin called Summer Moon Coffee, which was so
Really?
good. They had like to work there, I was told you had to sign an NDA so that you wouldn't give away the recipe for their milk because they had a very special milk.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, I don't know if that's still the
I want to
case,
go.
but I know at one point they didn't have any sort of like patent or trademark or anything on the milk, so they were like having and
Wow.
people were like needing to sign in NDA so they wouldn't disclose how to make the milk, something like that.
Wow.
Now, that was also years and years ago. Now they've got multiple chains everywhere down there, so I'm sure that's probably gone away at this point in
Yeah.
time.
Local coffee shops are always so much better. I feel like Starbucks, because there's one by my house, it's just convenient. I don't feel like it's necessarily good. Like it's just easy
Yeah.
to get to, but and I feel like it's gotten worse. Like I feel like it used to be better.
Oh, I like the convenience of Starbucks when I'm in a hurry and I can order from my phone and go run in and pick it up and then leave. Um, I know it sounds weird, but I know the coffee spots in my town that give me the espresso that's actually going to do the job. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Starbucks unfortunately doesn't really do the job.
No.
Now, there's a coffee shop called Tight Knot here that does the job, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Really? Yeah, no,
Hmm.
it's just convenient. It's just convenient, like you're on your way out the door or whatever. Like ours has a drive-through. Um, and so it's just easy. And then I just get on the freeway and go about my business. But if I had my choice or whatever, no.
No,
Nope.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So
Okay, so should we talk about the buyer rep agreement?
yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
What do you
Okay.
think of it?
I mean, I think there's a lot of pros and cons with it. Um, I love it for the reason that it tends to scare off all the looky-loos,
Yeah.
right? The people that are not serious buyers that just want to go see homes to see homes. And now they're presented with this document that is required by the state and really federally required now,
Yeah.
that they sign before they step foot in that home. Like that makes a lot of those people that aren't really serious kind of kick rocks.
Yeah.
Uh, so I love it for that reason. I hate it for um, the reason when like when you so people anybody that's listening that doesn't work in the industry should know that when you go onto Zillow.com, or maybe I shouldn't say the actual names, when you go into any of those search engines to look for a house
Hmm.
and you submit your information to see a house that you like, there are agents on the other side, but well, there's the company on the other side, but there are agents that pay for the leads that you have submitted to, right?
Hmm.
So
Yep.
a big source of income for the can I say the name?
You know what? I honestly like so back this is a while ago now, like in 2017, I paid for realtor.com leads. So it's any of them. It's
Yeah, okay.
any of those
So
search engines. It's not just
yeah, so Zillow, they're probably one of their largest pipelines of income is from realtors just paying for leads from
Mhm,
people that are going online to their websites and clicking, let me talk to an agent. So
mhm.
they connect you with an agent that has paid for that phone call. And every phone call is a cost, right? So you're paying per phone call, whether it turns into a lead or it doesn't. And so you're getting a lot of phone calls coming in, but a lot of these leads are not really actually interested in seeing the home. They're just interested because they're playing online and looking at it.
Yeah.
So these documents I love because it filters, it's just a new layer of filtration for buyer leads that I think every agent could benefit from. Because I can't count on one hand the number of times that I have had someone ask me to show me a home, and I stop everything that I'm doing because they're like,
Yes.
I've got this time and this available, and I'm like, sweet, let's go. I'm dropping everything. I'm going to meet you at the house. And I drop everything and go meet them at the house. And they're like, oh, we already have an agent. Or they're
Yes.
like, oh, we're actually not interested. We just thought it was a cute house. Or like there's some reason that they're actually not what do I want to say? They're not a legit buyer in the sense that they're not interested in getting pre-approved, and they're not interested in working with you anything beyond what I have already done,
Which is
which
funny when they say, "Oh, I have an agent." Like, well, then your agent didn't explain procuring cause to you because at least here if you call me and I'm, before the buyer rep agreement existed, but if you call me and I'm the listing agent and or whoever, and you say you want to see that house and your agent is not with you, if you want to buy that house, I am the agent that you're using because I am the one that excluding open
showed the
houses
house.
showed you the house. So it's like their agents like aren't even because I've had that before in
No.
the past when I
And I
had those
think it's
leads and I'm like,
sometimes
and I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but like
no.
also your agent's not explaining anything to you because I tell my clients that like if there's something you want to see, like just call me. You're not bothering me. Like just let me know. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a good amount of people who are well-intended buyers, but they just start working with a whole bunch of agents, not realizing that they need to make a decision on one. I mean, I had a client one time who called me up and he was like, off the bat, he's like, Amy, I'm just so sorry. I am so sorry. You're going to get a phone call from this agent. I just went to this open house and blah, blah, blah. And like was just pleading with me to not be upset. And I was like, what did you do? So then this agent calls me and she's like, I showed this property to your client. They're really interested in it. He did not tell me he was working with an agent and like ripped into my client. I was like, I understand that you're not happy with my client, but he's very new to this whole thing. Um,
I get so mad
and
like that.
and then when he did tell you that he had an agent, you were the one that can decide to keep working with him. Hi. Okay. Thank you for your help. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Thank you. Um, there was just disclosures that weren't disclosed, and then they were disclosed, and it kind of sent the whole thing up into like the agent was pissed off that my client was using her time, which is an absolute understandable
Mhm.
frustration point. That is every agent has grounds to be upset with a buyer that is just wasting their time
You
because you don't
can't,
know,
it's
like,
to be expected sometimes. You can't be so
yes,
mad about it.
yes,
It's self-expected.
absolutely. Um, but when you know you have an agent and you're already working with someone and you intentionally reach out to another agent, that's when you need to sit there and like I mean, I had to have this conversation with my client and be like, hey, look, unless something has changed,
Mhm.
you and I are a team. Like, we're working
Yeah.
to get you to the finish line of whatever house that you find you want. And he was super understanding and he felt terrible about basically leading the agent on.
I don't think they
But
understand also
I
sometimes.
don't think I don't think a lot of buyers do understand. And maybe that's what this is for right now, is to provide a little clarity on how
Yeah.
it is on our end for buyers. But we're dropping everything we're doing to get you guys to get them into these homes. Um, and our goal is to just see you be successful,
Mhm.
right? As a buyer. We want you to be as successful as possible, but we also know you probably have higher numbers than I do. In Central Oregon alone, there's probably about 5,000 licensed agents.
Yeah.
area. You could throw a rock and hit a real estate
Yeah.
agent. Um,
We're easy to
but
come
it's a matter of like these buyer broker agreements are starting to create a stronger relationship between the buyer's agent and the buyer. And I think there's quite a few pros to go with it. And I think the biggest con is when you have to meet a client that you've never met before at a property and be like, hey, I know we're just meeting. Sign this document, please.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that, and it makes them
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable. And I totally understand that.
Yeah. And that's why too it's important to like if you think that you're like I want to buy I think I want to buy a home in 6 months, year, whatever it is, to start kind of maybe meeting with agents and talking with them. Like for me, I meet either over Zoom. I can go to my office locally or my preference is like a coffee shop, but and just talking with them and having these conversations so you're informed. And then when you do see the house that you want, you're not calling some random person that you have to sign this agreement with. And then if you like the house, you're stuck working with them. You already like have someone that's, that you can call and ask questions and someone that's also investing in you and helping you. Like for us, like with our buyers, we send out letters and things like that to neighborhoods they're interested in. And we wouldn't I wouldn't do it if they did not sign these agreements with me because they have to be committed to me too. I can't just be committed to them. Um, so yeah, it is good to sit down
Yeah,
and
I
pick
think they
someone out
do
who
a
understands.
lot of good. Um, I think if we're gonna kind of get into a little more of the nitty-gritty details on it, the way that I had to explain how the new um compensation
Mhm.
works. And in real, I don't know what it's like in California, but here in Oregon, not much has really changed.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Sellers are still paying compensation to buyers agents, and I think that is a huge thing that people should walk away with is that sellers are still paying compensation. And all of this new 2024, August 2024 NAR ruling is really done for us. And you can either agree or disagree or put in your input. It just takes the buyer's agency compensation, brings it to the forefront of the conversation with both the buyer's agent and the buyer, and also the seller's agent and the seller. So it turns it into like a negotiation component to the contract.
Yeah,
So
it's just something else to add to it.
yes, and so like I literally pulled out the so here in Oregon we've got two forms. We've got Oregon real estate forms and Oregon realtor forms. And those are like the licensed forms that you can use, the official forms that you can use for real estate here. And I just pulled out both of them and I just showed them like this is what it's done. Like now we have this section on the form that basically makes the buyer's agency compensation a negotiating tactic on the sales agreement.
Mhm.
It's always been negotiable. It's just never really been on the sales agreement here. So now it's on the forefront of the agreement, and you can have an open conversation with your agent when it comes to any offers that you receive or any offers that you're going to make.
Mhm.
And I have only had one instance where the seller um, changed his compensation rate, and that was because it was a new listing. It just hit the market. We got an offer that was kind of a low ball offer considering we were only on the market for 5 days. And they were requesting 4% for in of the sales price to go to the closing costs for the buyers, and then an extra 2.5% for the buyer's agent and their fees. And overall 6.5%
Yeah.
towards the buyer's needs in general, right? And that came out to around $40,000. It
Big
was a
hit.
lot. It was a
Yeah.
lot of money. And our client got super upset and was like, I'll give them $10,000 in compensation in closing costs and 1% buyer's agency fee.
Mhm.
And that was our counter. And then we got the counter back and they flipped the script real quick and changed it to 2.5% buyer's agency fee and $10,000, no, $5,000 closing costs for the buyer, but they went over the list to make up for the request.
Yeah.
So they kind of compensated for the difference
Mhm.
in out-of-pocket costs for the buyer, which satisfied the seller because the seller was getting what they wanted. And
Yeah.
but
It's
he
all
was
about what
able
they
he
net.
huh?
It's all about what they net in the end.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it's
That's
exactly
all.
what it
That's
comes
it.
down to. And he
Yeah.
wasn't netting enough with the first offer, so
Mhm.
he tweaked the buyer's compensation and a little bit of the counter, the closing costs, and everything just ended up paying full buyer's agency
Yeah.
compensation at the end of it, and the buyer got the house. Just ended up making up the difference in
Yeah.
an over ask
Hmm.
price
Yeah.
for the closing costs. It worked out well. It worked out really well. It started out like, oh my God, WTF. And then it ended like, great job. We did good on both sides, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. They asked for a lot in the beginning. Oh my gosh.
We did.
Yeah, no, they're still paying it like it is. It's all about what they net. And so there's so many different ways to go about it. You know, you can pay your buyer's agent worst case scenario, but the goal is to still make the seller pay for it, you know, if possible, or pay for half or whatever. But just, you know, on those agreements, you know, it says what we charge, you know, each agent may charge differently, but what the commission fee is. Um, but that's just someone's going to pay us that. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean it's you. It's more about being transparent, um, so that we don't say, "Oh, you like this house? Well, got ya. My fee is this." You know,
Yeah,
it's just about being upfront, and like you said, all the fees are they're always
exactly.
negotiable, and they always have been. So,
You know, the on the very, very early stages of this whole litigation thing, I had someone ask me my thoughts on this all unfolding, and I sat there and I was like, honestly, I don't know all of the details or too many details right now, but all it sounds like to me is that somebody did not disclose
yeah,
properly the disclosures, and this is now what we're dealing with. And it just comes down to making sure that you're disclosing everything on the agreements and making sure that your clients know exactly what they're signing and what the offer or sales process looks like in terms of each buyer's agreement or a seller's agreement. So
mhm,
really just comes down to making sure that the buyer is as informed as possible when it comes to their real estate decisions.
yeah,
And the
and
sellers are also fully versed in where all the funds are going to.
yeah. And I like it too because you know, based on who signed that, who to give more attention to. You know, so you may have someone who is not really a client, but they're like, well, can you send me some listings and, you know, whatever. But then you have someone who signed the agreement, and like those people are the people that will get all of the attention before the people you're kind of
Yeah.
talking to. Where before I felt like it was you could still kind of figure it out, but sometimes it was a little iffy. You know, you weren't really sure how serious some people were compared to others, where now it's like very, to me, very, very clear.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it. And I don't like, at first, I was very nervous about it. But I think it is like, once you realize, like, you know, the sellers are still paying for it, you can, you know, say the seller doesn't want to, you know, I can always reduce my fee, whatever. Like there's so many ways to work it that I honestly don't think it's a big deal anymore. And I think it should have been implemented a long time, especially for like client, like for our safety as well. Like if we're going to go take some person that we don't know into like all of these homes that are sometimes vacant, like we should probably make sure that they're who they say they are and they're pre-approved and they're willing to sign these documents and
Yes.
stuff. Because before, when I was getting those leads from realtor.com, you know, and I didn't have a daughter, and so I was just like, you know, not thinking about my own safety, I was meeting all these people.
Yeah,
I don't
me
know who they
too.
are.
Me
I don't even
too.
know who they are. Like that's so
There,
crazy to me.
you like had a moment in time where I just started, I told my husband, I was like, I'm gonna start sharing my location with you because I just realized how eerie it is that I am driving out an hour to
Yep.
show this property to somebody that I've never met and
Hmm.
I don't know anything about. And it's absolutely, and it happens. There are
Yeah.
people that take advantage of vulnerable agents
Hmm.
all the time. You
Yeah.
only hear about some of them. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's just it's it can be doing this job isn't just all like rainbows and glitter and butterflies. It's like
Maseratis and Louis Vuitton bags.
God, or over here
Exactly
like
what it is. Yeah.
Subarus.
No.
Um,
Yeah, like you can be in like vulnerable situations, even hosting an open house. Like you don't know who's coming in there.
yeah,
You're by
yes.
yourself and you've advertised to everyone in the world where you will be on Saturday between 1 and 3. That's a
Yes, and I
crazy
have
thing. Yeah. So I don't know.
yeah. It's kind of weird. It's weird how all of this kind of works out. We're just kind of real estate agents are just floating birds or flying
Yeah.
birds that like,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
so I do. I like the buyer rep agreement. And the thing I do like about it as well is I think that it's caused agents to like do a better job. Whereas like some, like you could tell, like didn't explain anything to their client. And I think assuming like buyers become more educated, but like that's your opportunity to interview agents and see like who you mesh with and like their experience. You can ask them all sorts of questions. If like we expect you to sign this document, like we better have something to show you and tell you and educate you about. Like we can't just like expect you to like use us and sign this thing,
Hmm.
without
Yeah.
providing you any information or anything like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah, I don't mind it.
Zillow's come out with a touring agreement, which I will use every so often, which is just like a 24-hour or 72-hour agreement that you are giving me permission to take you to show these houses.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
if you buy these ones in that time or whatever,
hold on real quick.
you're fine.
1 second. Hi there. I am back. Oh, thank you.
Oh, so you have them
Um,
sign like a so because we could like just reduce our time frame in the agreement so it wouldn't be a different one. But yeah, you could just say it's just for the weekend or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I like that too because it makes it I feel like the shorter time frames like makes it less scary for the buyers, but also keeps them in perspective. Like this is a serious, what
Yeah.
I'm doing is like it's like this is my business. This is part of my job
Yeah.
and this is important to me. So I need to make sure that you're an actual like legit buyer. And when you sign this, you're telling me like I'm in. Like count
Yeah.
me in. Let's do this.
Yeah. I agree. Um, oh my gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say now. Oh my gosh, I had a brain fart. Oh, but I was saying because you were talking about like them being like afraid of like really long time frames too. It's like to me, it's like if you decide, assuming we're not in escrow, because then it's different. But if you decide 2 months in or whatever it is that you're like, I don't like Kim, I don't want to work with her, whatever, like I don't want you to work with me then anyways. Like I would never hold you
Yes.
hostage. That's insane. And so I
And
think
you know what is
it's
wild?
important to know.
There are agents that will do that.
Yeah, I know. It's
And I am definitely not one of those because it's one, it's not fun to work with somebody that you
oh,
don't get along with. And whether it's a real estate transaction or if you're just in an office setting, if you're working with somebody that you don't get along with, it sucks.
yeah,
And that's why I am with you on that. Like if I meet somebody and we're clashing, like we just
yeah.
don't, our personalities don't work out, or our schedules keep getting in the way, or whatever reason, we are not clicking as a buyer and a buyer's agent or a seller and a seller's agent.
Like why would you keep them?
Exactly. Like
Yeah,
there's so many agents here. Go find your agent.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. But there are some agents that are like, I'm not letting you go. And I'm like, I would not.
And knock
I
on wood,
can't.
I've never had anybody want to fire me. But
Oh, I have fired some clients.
I have done that, but I haven't had anyone say, you, Kim.
Oh, yeah. Nope.
Yeah, I have.
I
Not
I have
many, but I
had
have.
that happen. I've had that happen once a long time ago,
Hmm.
um, a few years ago, but it's only happened once.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm like, that's fine.
it is
And
hard.
again, it was one of those like, it was a wanted to be for sale by owner person, and I was selling their house.
Oh,
And usually, if somebody wants to sell their house on their own, then I know now this was my lesson learned. If somebody is wanting to sell their house for sale by owner, they really don't have a lot of interest in hearing what the agent listing with an agent or hearing what the agent's feedback is or all of that stuff. And she made him work with me. He wanted to sell it on his own. And we got like 2 months into the listing, and it was
yeah.
just like I could not have a conversation and get him to understand why, it wasn't going to work his way. First, right off the bat, he wanted to list it like 50,000 over market value.
You can always bring it down. Doesn't work that way. Did he try to like
Not,
micromanage everything you were doing
yes,
too? Yeah, that's really
absolutely.
hard. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's just one of those things. Like I learn now, I know now, like I'm not an agent that will go after for sale by owners.
No.
Not mainly because of that transaction, but it's not
Yeah.
my interest. I think what the stats are, I think only 6%, is it 6%? I
Something.
think we'll go back through the stats for 2024, but I think only 6% of people are selling in the nation are selling for sale by owner.
Yeah, it's super low. It's gone down every year too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
it's just
think
too much work.
because it's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to sell your own house.
And there's a lot of documents that you're required to provide. And how are you going to know?
Mm-hmm.
You got to do a lot
Yep.
of research. Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's not my jam either. I had a seller one time. It reminds me. It was like during, was it in 2020? No, it was in 2021 because I had already had my daughter. Um, he was like not for sale by owner, but I think that he could have easily been because he tried to micromanage everything I did. He was very nice, but at one point, we had an open house and we 2 weekends in a row, and he was there for both, and
Oh,
he answered questions for people, and I was like, please don't make agreements with people verbally. Like I don't know, it was like it's sold, it's fine, but I've never had anybody like want to be at the open house. And he was
hmm.
there. I mean, he might as well have been an agent. He dressed real nice. He was freaking shaking hands and talking to people, and um it was it
Oh,
was
he's
really
probably
nice.
an agent now.
Yeah. That's what I said. I was like, why don't you get your, because he was moving out of state. I'm like, you should go get your license. Like, you, like, he's a smart guy and stuff, but it was just so weird because normally people are like, I don't want to be there for any of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and he wanted to be there for all of it, all of it,
Oh, I
all
don't
of
do
it.
it.
But yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Wild times before the buyer rep agreement. I think that overall it's a good thing, and I don't think that it's as big of a deal. Um, as like a lot of agents initially made it out to be.
yeah.
Like people are still going to buy houses, and um I don't know that even people are really going, like the fear was that they would go directly to the listing agent, but I don't even know if that's been happening. So,
I don't either.
yeah.
We'll
So,
have to look at what the
which is
stats
not
are.
recommended, then we can talk about that on
Yeah,
another episode. But
that's a whole nother subject.
yeah, I know you got to get out of here, huh?
I do. I do.
Okay.
That's
Well,
okay.
if you are interested in working with me, you can find me on Instagram. My username is Hi Kim Innocente. It will be in the show notes. And Amie.
And I have officially opened up my Instagram to the public too, which took a lot for me to do, y'all. I don't know if anybody is listening to this podcast right now, but that was a big deal for me, okay? It weirds me out that people just go and look at my stuff, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Amie, AMIEBLLCK.
Mhm.
So like kind of like Amy Black, but Bulk,
Yeah.
Bulk. I
And
tried
we
to,
made an Instagram that hopefully we'll start posting to, but you can
oh,
follow
yeah.
that. And that is the same title as our podcast, Laughing Our Way Through Escrow.
Yes. And there's a YouTube. We
Oh,
just
for everywhere.
keep
We'll put it
coming.
all.
We just keep coming out. We just have so many different avenues. I love
Coming
it.
to a theater near you. No.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah. Put it
So if
all
you
in
get
the,
bored and you want to watch the audio, I mean, the
yeah,
visual of our podcast, head over to YouTube and search Laughing Our Way Through Escrow.
yeah,
And then
we're
you can see
there.
what we look like.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, for real. All right. Well,
No,
are you off to an appointment?
I am. I am. It's 1:30. It's almost 1:30. I need to leave by 1:30. So
All right.
I'm
I
gonna
got to
roll
call an
out.
HOA.
What?
Got to call an HOA.
Oh, have fun with that.
So fun times. Well, all right. Until next time, I will
Yes,
see you
ma'am.
later.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.